So Saad Ahmed writes that he got a job doing paid search at an agency. He has a background or master's in film, which is awesome. Wants to know what it would take to, I guess, become a film director or somebody who pitches. Generally, from the agency side, in my experience, the process was I was actually working early in my career at a startup agency, and as part of trying to get new clients, we would go in because I was part of I was the creative director while also assisting the head of sales, who also happened to be the founder of the agency. And so the idea was to go in there, understand what the client wants in regards to their needs, what they're trying to do. And then based on that, we were like, all right, let's put together a mock-up commercial because, our thought was we wanted to focus on advertising and commercials. This is like the early 2000s. Local business, they sold gutter covers. Clients like, yeah, let's get on board. Let's do this. The pitch was actually really simple in the sense of like, from an advertising perspective, this is what our competitors do. This is what our product does, how it's different. And this is how it's going to save you a ton of money in terms of repairs and wear and tear on your home in regards to weather with, gutters and leaves and whatnot. And so we put together the commercial demonstrating exactly how that works. I actually connected with an architect, young guy, who knew animation. And so I had this clear idea as to like how we want to present it. He did the animation, sent over the files my way. Client liked it, and that would air on a local level. So that's from an agency side. Everything was done in-house. Small agency, wasn't that sophisticated. On the other side, I was working for a national self-storage franchise company. I was a manager of marketing. My job was to bring in franchisees, onboard them, and help work with the marketing team to generate leads through online marketing and advertising, as well as online reputation management, i.e. reviews on Google and other review platforms. Take those leads and collaborate with the sales team to help them close those customers and put them into storage for various franchisees. In the process of doing all this, the size of the company had doubled, and we wanted to update the aesthetic. So we put out a request for proposal and several agencies came forward to see how they could help us with the update of our brand presence, everything from the colors to the logos to the website and whatever commercial spots we would need to be able to air, including radio and television. Now, a lot of the commercial stuff was handled by the agency themselves. What we did was we clearly outlined exactly what we're looking for in regards to what we want to showcase in the commercial. We want to showcase how easy it is with regards to the moving. It was a mobile self-storage setup. So that way, if somebody was moving or they need to put stuff into storage, they'd give us a call, they'd bring the storage unit over, the customer would put stuff in, and if they needed services, we would connect them with any of our partnered moving companies who would do any of the moving of the boxes and whatnot. Put the stuff into storage, and then we would take the unit away. We wanted to showcase all of that, and we wanted to showcase it with the demographic that was most likely to buy from us. So the commercial basically was produced showcasing that. They did a casting call in the sense of they got with a couple of casting companies. They told them exactly what they're looking for. A family of 4, husband, wife, son, and daughter. And they went ahead and they cast those folks. They shot the commercial. They sent us an edit. We gave some feedback. They gave us a final. And then from there, we did a few more of our own edits internally to make it more localized for each of our various franchisees. And that was it. It was pretty straightforward. That's been my experience with regards to producing commercials. Now, to answer your question, there's different roles, right? So if you want to get into the pitching of ideas and whatnot, that's really on a sales side. So you would want to get into sales. Now, if sales is not your thing, then maybe that's not the appropriate setup for you, because even in the area of filmmaking, the idea of pitching and presenting, that's all sales. That's all sales. And even when it comes to pitching to get money and to raise funds and to get investors, again, it's all sales. There's nothing creative other than the fact that you need to know how to present. You need to communicate value. You need to understand where the person who would be your stakeholder, your supporter, your client, your whatever it is, whoever it is that you're pitching to, you're understanding where they're coming from, so that you can present to them in a way that they could trust you and buy into you and support you in whatever it is, whatever the endeavor is that you want them to come on board for. It's all sales. And so on the creative side, though, coming up with the idea and whatnot, that's different. Now, usually the creative folks, a creative director, some sort of person in a creative position works with the salesperson, the account executive, whose job is the client relationship, so that they can understand what the pitch is, so that when it comes to making the pitch, sometimes the creative person will come on board to showcase that, which is normal in a client situation, but that's usually, again, from a creative side, from the perspective of agency. Now, on the other hand, on the flip side, if you want to be somebody who is taking pitches, that's on the company side. You may want to find yourself working for a company that has a budget, that does commercials, that is already producing it, and find yourself in a position where you could also be working on that side. It's usually companies that are bigger, more established, and have that kind of money to spend. If it's not on a professional commercial side, then maybe on a local commercial side, everything from your dentist to your lawyers to, especially accident lawyers. A lot of these guys, they spend money in advertising to get clientele. So, like these are, like, you could either be working with them, like for them, or, you could be an agency that's pitching to them. When it comes to a position of paid search, which is where you're at right now, usually with paid search, your job is where you're given the creative that's already produced, and then you have to place it in the various platforms to meet the attention demands of the client or your employer or your boss. So these are the different roles. Now, the question is having clarity as to where you want to go and what is the path to get there. There's no one set way. And what I would recommend and advise is connect with maybe a handful of folks that are seemingly where you want to be and learn about their story, and maybe understand how, the question, paid search is is a really good place to be in. It pays well. You always have to stay on top of it. You have to, keep up with whatever developments in the platforms, the technologies. And so, that's the challenging part, but if you're working with a company that supports and understands that, they will invest in their paid search folks, their technical folks that focus on that to stay abreast and to stay on top of things. It's actually really good for somebody, you're in advertising, which is more or less a quantitative role and position, because a lot of it is numbers, where, money spent, leads generated, cost per order, Excel spreadsheets. That's what you need to be good at. And obviously the technical aspects of the platform that you're working on, while also having an understanding of creative, where you're like, hey, you know what? This is the kind of story that kind of works. This is the kind of thing that would, on a creative perspective, would help facilitate not only getting their attention, but keeping it. That in itself is valuable. So, it's something I'm sure is going to come in handy for you, in whatever future, work that you do. So again, if you have any further questions, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you soon.